From acrobats to assassins, the role of Robin has evolved over the years, but it's always been an essential part of Batman's story. Hey, it's Jug, and today we're talking about what each Robin represents in Batman's life and legacy. Because, let's be honest, every time Batman picks a new Robin, it's more than just about finding a new sidekick. Each Robin represents something different, an evolution of Batman's character, his outlook on justice, and sometimes his failures. So let's break it down and figure out what exactly each Robin really means to the Dark Knight. Let's start with the OG Robin, Dick Grayson. He's the first and probably the most well-known of Batman's sidekicks. But Dick isn't just any kid. He's the orphan son of circus acrobats, whose death mirrors the tragedy that Bruce Wayne himself experienced as a child. For Batman, taking in Dick wasn't just about finding a partner in crime fighting. It was about giving someone else the hope and the support that Bruce never had. In a way, Dick represents the lighter side of Batman. He's a symbol that Batman doesn't have to do it all alone. Maybe there's a way to fight for justice without falling completely into darkness. While Bruce is constantly battling his inner demons, Dick's personality is more upbeat, more optimistic. He jokes, he makes quips, he sees the good in people. He's the balance that Batman desperately needs, a reminder that even in Gotham, there's room for some joy. And when Dick eventually steps out of Batman's shadow to become Nightwing, it's the ultimate symbol of growth. He shows us that Robin was never meant to stay a sidekick forever. He's proof that you can grow beyond tragedy and carve out your own path, which is something that Batman himself sometimes struggles with. Next up is Jason Todd, and this is where things get a little darker. Jason's story is one of the biggest tragedies in Batman's life. After Dick Grayson leaves to become Nightwing, Batman takes on Jason, a street kid with a troubled past. Originally, he actually had the exact same origin as Dick Grayson, but in the post-Crisis universe, yeah, he's a street kid who tried to steal the Batmobile's tires. Unlike Dick, Jason has a much rougher edge. He's angry and reckless, constantly questioning Batman's methods, and in a way, Jason represents Batman's rage, the part of Bruce that's constantly at war with Gotham's criminal underworld. But, as we all know, Jason's story takes a tragic turn. During the infamous A Death in the Family storyline, Jason is brutally murdered by the Joker. His death hits Batman harder than almost anything else. In Jason, we see Batman's greatest failure, his inability to save the very person he was supposed to protect. Jason's death haunts Bruce, representing the danger of his mission and the personal cost of his war on crime. And when Jason comes back as the Red Hood, he represents a darker path that Batman could have taken. A vigilante, yes, but one who believes in using lethal force to deal with criminals. Jason is the embodiment of Bruce's fear that maybe his way isn't the right way. Maybe Gotham needs a more brutal form of justice. Now, let's talk about Tim Drake, the Robin who actually chose Batman. Unlike Dick and Jason, Tim wasn't an orphan or a troubled street kid. He was a normal teenager who used his smarts to figure out Batman and Nightwing's secret identities. But here's the key thing about Tim. He represents the future. Tim believes that Batman needs a Robin. He sees how much darker and more dangerous Bruce becomes without his partner to ground him. So when Jason dies, Tim steps up. Not because he wants to be a hero, but because he wants to save Batman from himself. Tim represents the intellectual side of Batman, the detective who solves mysteries and plans ahead. He's the most analytical of all the Robins, and in many ways, he's a reflection of Bruce's own sharp mind and strategic thinking. But Tim isn't just another Robin. He symbolizes the continuation of Batman's legacy. He knows that one day Batman won't be around anymore, and he works tirelessly to ensure that Gotham will still have a protector when that day comes. He's the Robin that represents stability and hope for the future, that even without Bruce, the fight for justice can go on. And finally, we come to the most controversial Robin, Damian Wayne. Damian isn't just another sidekick. He's Bruce's biological son, raised by the League of Assassins and trained by his mother, Talia al Ghul. Damian represents something that no other Robin ever has. Batman's bloodline. But more than that, he kind of represents Batman's internal struggle with violence. Damian was raised to be a killer. He's arrogant, ruthless, and has no problem with the idea of taking a life, which puts him at odds with everything Batman stands for. But Bruce takes Damian under his wing, determined to teach him restraint, justice, and mercy. In Damian, Batman sees the darkest part of himself. The anger, the violence, the temptation to cross the line. Damian's very existence forces Bruce to confront those aspects of his own personality. But at the same time, Damian also represents the hope that Batman can change, that he can be a father, and maybe, just maybe, find a little bit of redemption through his son. Although, a lot of this could also be said about some of the other Robins. Dick's existence as Batman's adopted son shows that maybe Bruce can change and be a father and find good in the world, the same way that Dick healed from trauma, Bruce can heal. And Damian's darker path is much similar to that of Jason's. So it seems Damian kind of pulls elements from these other Robins as well, rather than just mirroring Batman. And I believe that might be because Damian was kind of created to be Dick Grayson's Robin. When Batman died, Dick Grayson took over the role, and Damian was his Robin for a while. We had this cool inversion of the Batman-Robin dynamic, where Damian, Robin, was the grumpy one, and Dick, Batman, was the hopeful one. But I digress. Damian's journey from assassin to hero is one of the most fascinating arcs in recent Batman lore. And it's also a constant reminder that Batman's greatest battle might not be against Gotham's criminals, but against his own darker nature. Now, there are some other Robins I didn't quite mention, like Stephanie Brown and Jarro, who were only Robins for a short period of time. And Carrie Kelly, who's a super popular Robin, but remains an alternate universe Robin. So I didn't exactly touch on those because they didn't have the full extent of background as Robin to pull from. So in the end, when you break it all down, each Robin represents a different facet of Batman's character. Dick symbolizes hope and growth. Jason is the embodiment of Batman's failures and the risk of his mission. Tim Drake stands for the legacy of Batman's ideals, and Damian reflects Bruce's ongoing battle with his own inner darkness. The role of Robin isn't just about putting on a mask and fighting crime. It's about being a mirror to Batman, showing us who he is and who he could be and what he's afraid of becoming. Each Robin brings something different to the table, and that's why they're so important to the story of The Dark Knight. But what do you think? Who's your favorite Robin, and what do they represent to you? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.